Jay.
This week we watched Ladies and Gentlemen, the Beetlemon.
Or Thunder Power Shaking the Ground, Blitzman.
And A Molehill Out of a Mountain.
Or the Five Legendary Warriors vs. the New Warrior.
I hate you more every time you try find a new way to pronounce words. Like, no, please, don't do that to me.
You don't like the New Warrior?
Wario. For DigiNews this week, first of all, there wasn't much DigiNews, but today was the next order release in Australia and Europe. So, which moves us on to Let's NewsLatelymon, we did a next order stream. And the recordings are up on YouTube because we record with YouTube and they just saved it straight to our channel, so that was pretty handy. We didn't end up doing a next order review episode, but we would really like to do that sometime soon, maybe before the American release, which is the 31st. So, sometime we would like to do that if we have time, just a quick, review and impressions
It's bad.
episode. It's not.
I didn't like it.
You didn't like it because we didn't get Terriermon and Lotmon.
Yes, that's also true, but I also didn't like it because it wasn't my kind of game.
Yeah, it's not your type of game. The world games are all... I prefer the story games more
I
than the
don't
world
like
games.
the I have to take care of this thing aspect.
I don't like the fact that, and I explained this in the stream, that during the game, if you have, your ultimate level Digimon and you're fighting the big scary bosses, and your Digimon just dies of old age... You have to pause what you're doing with the big scary bosses, and you have to spend the rest of the time raising your Digimon back up to be that powerful again.
The bosses can wait.
Yeah, basically. The world's ending on NVM. Can't do that. I'm actually going to just spend that time raising my Digimon. Oh well.
Wait over there, Piedmon, or whoever it is.
Baltamon.
I don't care.
He's so cool. And on to Obnoxious Synopsis. The first episode that we're watching this week is called Ladies and Gentlemen, the Beetlemon, or Thunder Power Shaking the Ground, Blitzmon. What will happen in this episode?
Okay, well, we know it's JP's episode, but honestly, the title really means very little. Ladies and Gentlemen would generally, I guess, lead me to believe that there was some kind of dramatic thing going on.
Yeah, well, it's also a Beatles reference, so...
I didn't know that.
Ladies and Gentlemen, the Beatles.
Is that the English title?
Yeah, that's the
It
English
would be.
title.
There's no exclamation point in it.
Yeah.
Alright, so that means nothing. In that case, Thunder Power Shaking the Ground, that just describes who he is. So, I'm thinking that he transforms into that Beetle Samurai thing we saw.
Well,
then he loses the fight, and then Takuya wins the fight.
Oh, that's really sad that you think that.
It's probably
Did you have
happen.
no faith for the supporting characters as they are?
None whatsoever.
Do you think anything will annoy you in this episode?
I think it would be annoying if exactly what I said happens, exactly as I said it happens.
Do you think it'll be a good episode?
No.
What rating do you think you'll give it?
6, at best.
Well, that's not too bad, though. It's better than a 4.
I don't know. I think that JP has at least a character that could develop, but not much hope to it.
So far, it's just salty.
Mm-hmm.
And what rate... Oh, I already asked that question. Filler or not filler?
Of course not.
It's really annoying. One day we'll use the filler or not filler, and it'll be...
Yeah, give it 4 more episodes.
Yeah. The second episode that we're watching this week is called A Molehill Out of a Mountain, or The 5 Legendary Warriors versus the New Warrior. What do you think will happen in this episode?
Apparently they're going to introduce a 6th character. Alright, fair enough. And a molehill out of a mountain. They're gonna fight something called Molemon, probably. I mean, I would actually think it would be like a mole train, but we already saw that one. They're not gonna fight that. It was a passing joke. But yeah, I don't know. They're gonna fight... there's gonna be another character, maybe.
So you think it's one of the other 10 legendary warriors?
I guess. I didn't really think there'd be 10 kids, but at the end of the day, actually, if there's going to be 10 kids, maybe I understand why they didn't give them partners.
Yeah, because there's a full cast. Tamers had a very full cast, and sometimes we didn't get much time.
But you didn't need all those characters.
Yeah. So maybe if there's a full cast of 10 characters, and now we don't have kids, so it's more like the usual 5 with a partner each.
Yeah, I mean, I don't necessarily think I like that, and at the same time, there was a good chance when they said 10, legendary warriors or whatever, that you would actually end up with each of the 5 main characters getting 2, 0-2.
Yep.
But yeah, I guess they're not doing that, and that's fine. There'll probably be 10 kids by the end, and so yeah, there'll be a 6th kid. That's my guess.
What element do you think the 6th kid will be?
There isn't a ground one yet, so that.
Do you think anything will annoy you in this episode?
If the new kid sucks, or if they're introduced badly, or if Tomoki cries, or if JP speaks to Zoe at all.
Do you think it'll be a good episode?
Oh, also I noticed that Koji joins up with them.
How you know?
5 legendary warriors. They're all together.
Oh, okay, that's fair. That's definitely fair then. So do you think it'll be a good episode?
No.
No?
No.
What rating?
6.
Yeah, well, 6 is better, as I said, better than a 4.
It means that the bad almost outweighs the good. No, like, the good is slightly above how much bad stuff there is, but it's not a good episode.
Filler or not filler?
No.
Do you have any more predictions about the character? Like, what kind of kid do you think he'll be?
I do not.
What do you think he'll look like the Digimon
I
will
need
look
to
like?
see the intro to episode 5 to guess. Because
See-
I know they spoil them because the beam of light isn't there anymore.
Yeah, so, funny thing, apparently it was in the last episode, I just missed it as well. Maybe I skipped the intro last week or something. But yeah, so the beam's not there, because I watched the first 2 episodes today, and I was like, oh, bye beam, now I can see other characters, I guess.
Great.
So, I guess you need to pay attention to that if you really want to be spoiled.
I don't want to pay attention
Also,
to it.
I want to apologise to you while it's fresh in my mind. But yes, the other evolutions are indeed in the intro.
That's right. I'm not that...
Okay,
my
so-
memory's not that bad.
So then you can watch the English opening, because that's all what's in the English
Yeah.
opening. But they kind of like show it a bit clearer than that, so
I'm smart.
you're very smart. And no, I just didn't realise they were there. But yeah, do you have any other predictions for either of these 2 episodes?
No, I'm good.
Any predictions about what you'll feel?
Bad. Bored.
Bad? Bored? Oh
Bad,
no.
bored, and wanting to not watch this.
Wanting to skip to Savers.
Yes. And then skipping that all the way back to Try.
We'll just watch Try.
Yeah,
Do you want
let's-
to just watch Tamers again?
No.
Which were the good episodes of
No.
Tamers? Ah, not even Tamers.
I want to watch new stuff. I want to
Don't-
watch series of unfortunate events. Can we just do that instead?
No, yes, we announced a series of unfortunate casts.
I'll watch Game of Thrones again with you.
That's actually a really good name, a series of unfortunate casts. A podcast of unfortunate events?
No, a series of unfortunate podcasts.
Yeah, no, that's good. I'm going to trademark that, even though I never intend on doing a series of
Fair enough.
unfortunate podcasts.
We do the translation from the books to the show.
Oh my gosh, that would take so long. We'd have to read a book.
That wouldn't
And
take
then
that long.
what-
They're
but then-
children's books.
Okay, good point. We'd have to read, and then we'd have to watch a show.
Okay, I mean,
And probably a movie.
I do it in a day, and then we'd end up doing 1 episode a year, because that's how long it would take you to read them. There's 13 of them, by the way.
That would, each book would take me about 3 years to read, let's be real.
Yeah, that's true. I lent you books 3 years ago, and none of them got read.
It's because I fall asleep.
You don't even try.
Because my head goes on the pillow and I just sleep.
I've asked you a bunch of times to read the first chapter of a book, and you can't even manage that.
Yeah, maybe one day. So no more predictions?
Nah.
Alright, well, on to the show then. Episode 5 starts up.
Walking in the desert.
No, I'm just saying, like, I realised that they updated the intro, and there isn't a light beam in the way, and we see another 5 characters, a bit clearer in the background.
Walking in the desert.
And I really like about Frontier is that the credits evolve. They don't have just one static change that, like, just happens and, 20 episodes in and then might change in another 20 episodes for the last time, but it's like a very obvious change. This is like a subtle one, and they slowly evolve throughout the series from what it is originally.
Hey, quick question.
Yeah?
Is any of the silhouettes this Grottomon or the Earth thing it turns into?
One is Grottomon, yes.
Okay.
Yep.
I have a fairly solid theory about what everything is now.
Well, what is it then?
I think there's 5 humanoid legendary warriors and there's 5 beast legendary warriors.
Right, and they're the bad guys?
And the 5 beast ones are the bad guys, yeah.
But Grottomon wasn't a beast one.
He was. He had beast evolution.
That was Gigasmon. That's his beast evolution. Grottomon is a human.
What do you mean Grottomon is a human?
Grottomon is a human spirit, and Gigasmon is a beast spirit. And
No.
the dub kind of does say
I thought
that.
Grottomon was just a regular Digimon
No.
who found a beast spirit.
No, he's a legendary. He says he's a legendary spirit.
Yeah, I
He's
thought,
a legendary
I thought
warrior.
it was a legendary warrior of a beast one.
Oh, okay then.
Okay, my theory was wrong
Yeah,
then,
you're
I guess.
wrong.
That's okay.
Yep. And but the dub does say the spoilers that it's a legendary warrior and that he uses his beast spirit.
Yep.
Anyway, in the dub, Rika says that Takuya and Zoe had a Zing Fest. I don't recall this happening, but okay, Rika, I take your word for it because you're the best character. And
Not in this version, though.
Also, Rika says that the kids didn't eat the Floramon's food, but they did. They ate it, and then they were like, what is it made out of? And then they didn't want to eat anymore.
Ah, it's not food, it's a drink.
It's a soup. So the kids are almost hit by a train, and that's basically how a lot of episodes in Frontier are starting.
Joy. They're eventually going to learn that walking on train tracks might mean there's a train coming soon.
Well, in the dub, JP says that trains in the digital world really come out of nowhere. And Bokumon...
It's not true.
Yep.
They come from the end of the tracks.
And then Bokumon says, well, that happens on train tracks. It's a good line. I really like it.
Oh, why do things in the digital world always come out of nowhere?
What do you mean nowhere? We're walking along train tracks.
So?
So where there are tracks, there's a train. It's kind of like the whole smoke fire thing.
And of course, this is replacing silence in the Japanese version, of course. Because why would we want silence and pictures of wind, right?
Because, I don't know. Actually, no, it's the desert. I don't want those things. I would
Yeah.
rather them replace the silence.
So you'd rather have stupid lines than actual...
I'm bored of the desert. Give me stupid lines I can laugh at.
Oh no. And so yeah, they discover a wind factory, and I'm thinking
The
maybe
wind factory.
maybe Fairymon can be useful because she's the spirit of wind, but no one mentions that, oh hey look, hey Fairymon, you're the spirit of wind. This is the wind factory.
No, but they don't actually make wind there. They
But
make
it's
fans.
I thought it was called the wind factory. Like Pokemon says it's the wind
Oh, they
factory.
call it that, yeah, but you can.
Yeah.
What they make is fans.
Yeah. Well, and fans make wind, so
So she'd be better?
I don't know. I just want her to be useful, okay? So then we see one of my top favourite Digimon, and it's Kokuamon, who are these little tasers, and they're so cute. They're like little insects, but like little electric insects.
Okay, two things here. A, first of all, in my notes, I only have them written down as the tasers. B, they're not tasers. A taser is specifically the electric thing that you shoot like a gun, and it pops out the little prongs that electrocute
Yep.
someone from a distance. Because taser is an acronym with the A doesn't mean anything, but it is Tom Swift's electric rifle.
Yep.
So it's taser, and they've added the A to make it make sense.
Yeah.
So they're not tasers, but they're the tasers. That's what I want to say.
But they're also kind of like plugs, and they have plugs on their shoulder pads, and I thought that was pretty cool.
I thought they were like little extra arms.
So Takuya thinks about how they must have food inside if they have Digimon there, and he wants to run right in, and Junpei wonders if it's okay because it's trespassing and they might be attacked. Which is completely reasonable, really. Like, Junpei is, he's saying, hey, can we not charge into this place where these monsters who might kill us are?
No, he's a big coward.
I know, but I feel like that is reasonable. Meanwhile, in the dub, JP tells Takuya to get him pizza since he's going to get food, and that he wants his with extra everything, and then Takuya says...
Get it because he's fat!
And then Takuya says that he's not the pizza mon.
Get it because he said mon.
Yeah. Then we see Minamon, and they say about how they're suspending them, and Takuya and Junpei are scared, and Izumi is useful for once, and asks if it's okay to see the factory, and then they say it's okay, and then she smiles at the others.
That this is a Japanese pun that I'm just not getting. I understand the idea of like, oh, we're hanging from the ceiling, we're suspended, and you're suspended as in like, you
Yeah.
have to stop?
Yeah.
But I'm sure there was a version of this in Japanese where the word for hanging there and the word for intruder detected or whatever it is way, way more similar.
I have no idea, to be honest.
To suspended here is like, this is a stretch. It's a stretch to the point where reading the sub, I don't really know what they're trying to communicate.
Yeah, it was a bit weird.
I really thought they were just talking about themselves, like, we're in the air now.
Yeah, they're basically saying, look at us, we're doing a thing. Even though they're actually saying, no, we're suspending you, we're stopping you, we're, holding you hostage, basically, sort of.
Not really.
Yeah.
They
In the
don't have
dub,
arms.
Zoe says that the boys were frightened because they're boys.
Great. Awesome.
Wonderful. So,
Girl power.
girl power.
That is girl power typified by, like, a pink shirt with purple glitter on it.
Yes.
It says girl power. It doesn't spell girl right.
Gorilla power.
Gorilla power.
So, what I really liked about this scene is that, at least in the original, she's being useful, and we see that she's quite, like, is diplomatic the word? How she talks to the Digimon. Everyone else wants to fight them. She tries to use her words. And I know it's kind of like, oh, that's the womanly way. It's what boys think with their fists, girls think with their hearts, and stuff like that. And I think that's stupid. But I like that she's actually useful in this scene, and she's not just sitting
Somewhat.
back. Or she's not the one screaming about the bugs, because girls always scream about bugs in TV shows.
It's not even bugs, they're pine cones.
Yeah. So we see that the Goblimon are bossing the Kukuamon around. Then Junpei runs off and wants to go to the toilet, and basically sees some Goblimon abusing some Kukuamon.
He hears it, but he never sees it.
He doesn't really think much of it.
No, he just never sees it. He hears noises and goes, what's that? And gets called off.
Yeah.
And then, so the Goblimon are beating up the tasers in the background.
Yeah.
And they're taking on this tour of the factory. And yeah, we find out they make fans.
And a difference I noticed is if the original, the Minamon don't really seem to know much about the factory equipment. They kind of say, oh, we don't know what it does, but it does, like, we know the end product, but we don't know why it does it or how it does it. We just know it does it. In the dub, the Minamon seem to be quite knowledgeable about what's going on.
They're proud of it. Like, look at our super high-tech facility making
Yeah.
our super high-tech products. And they go, that's a fan. Those are out of season.
Yeah.
Those haven't been in fashion for a long time. And then they go, well, that's the tour. You saw what we make. That's the tour. What now? Oh, well, we want to eat. Oh, okay. Well, you go to the cafeteria, and it's funny because it's a factory full of tasers, and all there is to eat is batteries. And you see the tasers eating them, by like absorbing them with their little extra plug arms, which is cute. And then the kids go to the pine cones, and they say, "Hey, well, we can't eat those. So what do you eat so we can eat that?" And they go, "Oh, bamboo. Okay, that's really funny. There are Goblimon in this factory. What do they eat? They probably eat real food."
But they also say that they don't really know what the non-Kukulmon eat, and then the kids yell, "Are you you're lying?" Like they accuse the Minamon of lying. In the dub, Tommy asks if they have sweets, and Minamon just says that they have double A pie, and the kids angrily refuse.
That joke is way funnier if they just say double A batteries. Like, if they said it in a way that's like, we got double A batteries, like, that would be a sweet for them.
Yeah.
That makes way more sense than making a dumb joke, and is actually funnier.
But they have to make it related to being a sweet, I guess.
It's too difficult for children.
Yeah.
Wow, just every episode of this, I think back, and I appreciate... Okay, with Tamers, I always thought that, like, okay, every episode of this is going along, and they got more mature because that's the natural evolution of this show.
Yeah.
And you're telling me, okay, in the future, some kid punches a Digimon. Okay, stuff changes and is interesting.
Yeah.
Every episode of this, I realize, oh god, I should have appreciated Tamers more. I should have appreciated all the stuff we had.
Yeah, no, Tamers is good, but I feel like Frontier's not terrible.
It is. It is.
I hope it gets better. So the kids find a Kukulmon village, and then we see a scene where a Goblimon is reporting to a Snymon, and...
Who is drinking, like, iced coffee?
Yeah, I think so.
So, imagine this, right? They don't have arms, okay?
They have sides, yes.
So he's leaning in, his sides all tucked into his chest, like,
Yeah.
sipping on this little iced coffee.
It's really cute.
It's awkward.
It shouldn't be that cute, though. The Kukulmon are telling the children about how the Goblimon captured them and forced the Kukulmon to be their slaves and how they're being overworked.
They captured them from their taser village in the forest.
Yes.
Where they sucked electricity out of the trees.
Because you're in the digital world, I'm fine with that because that is such a digital world thing. Is there's electricity in the trees.
There's a wind. What's it called? The rooster thing with the directions. The wind thing that goes on top of buildings.
Yeah, the directional thing. Yeah.
Yeah. They have one of those on top of a tree, and then they say something that's completely confusing and like undermines everything we saw before that.
What?
Well, what are they captured for? What do? They generate electricity. They also eat electricity.
Yep.
They generate what they eat.
Yes.
They don't need to be fed batteries. They generate it.
I just think they like eating it.
And if you need the batteries for them to generate energy, use the batteries.
I think it's the different types of energy. Like, they don't have anywhere to put the batteries, so the batteries they're putting into the Kukulmon to give them energy.
Well, shouldn't they use the Kukulmon to charge the batteries? Wouldn't that make more sense?
I feel like they aren't doing that because they couldn't feed. They have to feed them something.
Okay, if they don't
Because
have any way to...
otherwise, we wouldn't have the scene where we feed the kids batteries, and that was a funny scene.
That's literally all that's in there for.
Probably.
But, like, where are they finding these batteries? Is there a battery mine? Do the Goblimon, like, do they mine for batteries?
Maybe they just pickaxe away at the wall.
It's the wind factory next to the battery mine. That's digital world.
So yeah, it's a digital world thing. Those things just sort of happen, and I can suspend my disbelief because
I can't. Sucks.
It's Digimon. It's a digital world. And the sad thing about the Kukulmon being captured is they actually like producing electricity. Like, and I just found that kind of sad that they're just these really cute little bugs. They said, but we like creating electricity, but they're just being forced to.
We just don't want to get hurt. Also, their wording is like we make 100 volts a week or something.
Yeah.
I don't think that makes sense. Like, that's not a lot.
It's a lot considering the voltage in Japan is only 100 watts. No, volts, right? Never mind.
No, but they make... I don't even know if volts is a measurement.
Well, it is now.
I don't think volt is like... I don't think you can store 1, 2, 3, or 4 volts. I believe that's like... If volts and amps defines what the current is.
Yeah. So it'd be amps then.
No, it's not. It's both of those things.
Oh.
It's like longitude and latitude. You need both to describe a
yeah.
point. Like, you wouldn't fill a bucket with volts, is what I'm trying to say.
Right.
I don't think. I'm not a physicist.
Are you sure?
I'm pretty sure.
Are you sure?
I've heard of gravity.
I believe in gravity, but I feel like if I didn't believe in it, I'd be flying, right?
I only believe in houses. When I believe, I do it in houses.
I only believe in the me that believes in you.
Thank you. Don't believe in you, don't believe in me. Believe in the you
me.
that believes in the me that believes in you.
Yes. Junpei thinks that helping is dangerous, and Takuya wants to work together to save the Kakumon. Junpei then demands to know why Takuyamon always has to make the decisions. And then the other children say, no, look, we agree with Takuya, like, we should help out here.
Have we talked about the line? I think it's right before Takuya draws up the strategy.
Oh, no, he hasn't done that yet.
But I think it's around this point where...
Yeah, no, it's a bit later.
No, it's around this point
where... No, I've got some bits
where Junpei says something. It's before this. I'm trying to tell you.
Okay. Oh, is it before it?
Yeah. It's in this scene. It's after, like, the really senile taser like, grandpa talks in the English. And, they're saying about, like, what to do, and Junpei's like, my gut told me. And Takuya's response is, even your stomach's a know-it-all.
Oh, that's not nice.
It's so mean! Just, like, leave him alone! Fine, he's bigger than all the other kids!
Well, the kids are never nice in the English dub. They're always a little bit meaner to everyone.
I know, but all they're doing is making fun of him for being fat. He has plenty of other terrible qualities to make fun of. Leave this one alone!
Yeah, like, his hair's pretty generic.
No, he's a huge coward.
Yeah,
he's a coward. He doesn't get along with people. He's awful.
Oh, he's less of a coward in the Japanese version, at least. So we see a Minamon spying on them, and he just sort of floats away. In the dub, he mentions that it was suspicious because the humans turned down a AA pie, and who would do that?
Oh my god.
I'm like, that's a stupid joke.
No, they're humans.
Because of course they would.
Also, the Minamon wouldn't have eaten that.
Yeah.
So why did they feel that way?
Because it was a joke.
Oh my god, I hate the show.
Takuya tells Izumi that she will need to run if the Goblimon are too overwhelming. And Izumi's like, oh, that's fair enough, because that's a reasonable thing to say. You would say that to everyone. In the dub, it's almost turned into this patronising thing where he says, well, that is, if you can handle it.
Ugh.
Like, okay, so it turns from this sort of thing that's saying, look, don't overdo do it yourself. Like, you're fighting with these Goblimon. You might not be able to handle this. Just run if you feel like something's bad is going to happen. And then, in the dub, it's just this patronising thing, and I just don't know why they did it.
So Takuya draws up this, like, battle plan for this rebellion.
Yeah.
And he gives this very inspiring speech, which is, you guys should stand up for yourselves. And all of the tasers are like, by Jove, you're right! We should stand up for ourselves! Why did we not think of that before? Then Junpei's a massive coward, and they all go, oh, well, we're crap at fighting and don't really want to. So I guess none of us will help you now.
But that's after a bit. I just want to get to this other point first, that they have another bit of stuck-in dialogue in the dub, which we haven't seen since Adventure, and it's the sort of funny lines like him saying how, this is like my army men, but real. Like, doesn't that remind you of the very, like, oh, silence is bad, gotta fill it?
Absolutely.
Stuff that would happen in Adventure all the time? That stuff that made no sense to add, but they just had to?
Yeah, they also changed the reason why Junpei's a huge coward.
Oh yeah, no, they definitely did. And also, like, in the, like, original, Junpei says how he's a disappointment that can't evolve. And he's rather upset about it. He's like, oh, I'm just a disappointment. In the dub, he is angry.
He's angry at them. He says, you're all looking down at me because, I can't be a Digimon. And I'm just tall, sweet, and cuddly.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I like that line.
I mean, sure, but it's a weird thing for him to say in the circumstance.
I thought it was cute.
Yeah, it's fun.
But it doesn't fit his character, though.
It does, but in just not this time.
Then the Kakuamon say to Takuya that they feel like Junpei because they can't fight either. And this is this kind of sweet moment when the Kakuamon are sort of sympathising with Junpei, and Junpei is sympathising with the Kakuamon, and it's this nice scene, and it really makes me happy.
Until it's totally ruined.
And yeah, in the dub, the Kakuamon say, thank you, Takuya, you have given us hope. So it's turned into this thing where, like...
I didn't even mean that, Pop. You're right, that's so much worse.
No. Yeah, the original has the Kakuamon, get along with Junpei and respect Junpei because Junpei can't fight either.
I just meant skip forward, like, 2 minutes, and you see one Kakumon taser to death 3 of the goblins.
Yeah.
It's not even like, okay, well, they're weaker than the goblins. No, they're physically stronger than multiple of them.
Yeah, I don't know why they just didn't do that the whole time. There is an army of Kakuamon, right?
Yeah, they prove immediately, and it is never shown to be false, that the Kakumon are just... absolutely stronger than the goblins, and they just never bothered to stop them. That's all it ever was. Sorry, we can continue. There's a whole thing with this Kakumon child that makes no sense.
Oh, shut up. I love it.
It makes no sense!
So, this baby Kakumon looks up at Junpei, and it's so cute and adorable, and has these big, like, baby eyes, and it's so cute. And Junpei stays behind with all the Kakumon, and he's just wondering, like, why everybody goes along with Takuya's plans and accepts them basically immediately.
He's got the goggles, that's why.
Yeah. And he just wishes that he could help, and he feels really helpless because he can't spirit evolve and fight and protect the Kukuamon, so he's upset about that. In the dub, JP is upset that he doesn't have a spirit, and now he only has a craving for chocolate.
Well.
Because he's fat, get it?
Yeah, I got it.
Then there's a split evolution of the kids evolving, and I noticed something really weird happens in the dub. So, before the evolution, they edit in Takuya's first evolution from the first episode to the start, and also to the end, of when he's, like, staring at the spirit, and his eyes have the reflection of the spirit.
Huh.
And at the end, he has him standing on the grate from the first episode. And this also happens in the second episode, but I'll talk about that when we get to it, because it's very, very jarring.
They love it.
So I don't know why the dub did this, because it flowed fine in the original.
Because they love it.
And then, so back to split evolution. I really like how Izumi and Takuya are so serious. And they're looking at their Digivice, they're scanning their hand, and like, yeah, spirit evolution. And then there's Tomoki, who's just so happy, he's just so happy to be there.
I'm gonna be Checkmon!
He's like, I'm Checkmon!
The hand thing he does.
He goes, nee! He does peace.
This.
He does peace.
It's only got 2 fingers.
Okay, he only has, because he's a baby. I love him. So we see Fairymon being useful and actually beating things up. And then
bomb bashing them.
No, but so I noticed something.
Yeah.
And whenever she used her range attacks, she does a lot of damage. Like,
Yeah.
she sets fire to things, she defeats her foes. But as soon as, like, she goes close range, she gets immediately obliterated. And it's so annoying, because she always looks... Whenever Fairymon does something, like, really cool or heroic, she's immediately defeated.
Yeah, her Victoria's Secret powers go away if she gets too close to somebody.
Yeah, so why would you always just not use ranged attacks? Because they seem to be the useful ones.
Because, look, if you're going to fly around and throw stuff down at your opponent, the first thing you should do is get up in their face on the ground and stand still.
But the hitting with the bum never seems to do anything besides give them love hearts in the eyes.
Hey, if you did that to me, I'd die.
Yeah, 100%.
I would die.
Especially after lactose.
Oh no.
So, but the thing is, I noticed that I could almost say, okay, it's kind of like unnecessarily sexual because she's this child to say, oh, I put my bum against you and now you're immobilized by love. But that doesn't happen. They're not stunned or anything because they're immediately able to fight.
Yeah, like the tree mom was like, doo-doo? Oh, great, punch you.
But, so the hearts weren't because it was an effect.
It's just they like butts and they cannot lie.
They're just happy and that's really annoying. Like, as I said, if it was like a stun and they were now immobilized or they'd become good or something, I'd hate it because it's a bum tap and, as I said, weirdly sexual for a child, but at least it's useful, right?
Okay, so I want to make the analogy.
Yep.
Like, there's this really great scene in the first Avengers movie.
Yep.
Where Black Widow is tied down in a chair and she's being interrogated by some Russian generals or something.
Yep.
And the whole point of that scene is that she has the upper hand on them the whole time and she's kind of reverse interrogating them and then she will escape. But like, in this circumstance, what she's actually kind of doing is if she was like, hey, Russian general, what if you stick your face in my chest right now? And he goes, well, alright, and he does it, and he goes, that was enjoyable, and she goes, okay, and then she doesn't escape.
Yeah.
And it was just a thing that happened?
Yeah, no, I agree. Like, I feel like the butt thing is just for fan service.
But it's even not that. Like, watch fan service. This is a tiny, tiny children's show.
Yes.
And nothing explicit happens. It's not ecchi at all.
But she's still wearing lingerie, basically.
It is, and that's weird.
It is weird. I always liked Fairymon's design, but when you think about it, it's not good. Like, if you think...
You liked it for the wrong reason.
No, I liked it because I thought it was pretty and it's just a fairy. But if you compare it with the other characters who are fully clothed and very strong, I don't know, it's annoying.
She has the worst case of female armor. Everyone's wearing full bodysuits of armor.
Yeah.
Everyone's a knight except for Chakmon, who's an ice ball.
Yeah.
Right? But if you think of your classic video game, okay, well, the men get a big breastplate and it gives over their entire body, and the women get the chainmail bikini.
Yes.
Well, what's in this one? It's worse. The men get the full body armor. She gets literal lingerie.
Yeah, she gets lingerie.
And that's what she wears. That's her protective equipment. Mm-hmm. She wears less clothes when she evolves. It's insane.
Yeah, it is very annoying. The children then find the Snymon and a bunch of Goblymon. Back to Junpei, he's with the baby Kokuamon, and the baby Kokuamon wants to fight, so Junpei runs off with it. In the dub, the young Kokuamon is more interested in Takuya, and says that Takuya gave him the courage to fight. Again, in the original, she's like, "Come on, Junpei, we were weak before, but we can be strong. We can do this." But in the dub, the focus is shifted from the character. This is Junpei's episode.
Nah.
This is about his bravery.
You overrated this episode, so we'll get there, but wow.
I like this episode, okay?
Wow, you complained about it really hard.
Yes, I have issues, but I like this
bad.
episode. So, yeah, Junpei gets lifted by some Kakuamon, and he uses, like, the, what's it called? The big machine.
Wow, you skipped way forward.
What?
You skipped from his having the talk with the child to he's already in the fight.
No. This is when he runs off with the Kakuamon. He's already had, like, the talk a while ago.
No, but there's a little scene before he even shows up in the fight where he sees the little kid saying, "I'm going to go fight," and the grandpa's like, "No, you can't do that."
Yeah.
And then Junpei says, "He can't, but I can."
Yep.
Interesting point here. He doesn't have a spirit, so he's not a Digimon, and that's a taser. He'd lose in a fight to that taser. The taser's way stronger than him.
Yeah, but then he gets
If
in
the
the machine.
taser can't do it, he can't do
Then
it.
he gets in the machine and he starts to actually
He didn't
help.
know that was there.
He saw it when they were taking the tour.
He didn't know that they'd be fighting there.
Good point, but I'm sure he
Or
would
that there'd be
remember
a
it.
flying enemy to fight with it. It wouldn't work on the goblins. It only works on Sneemon, who he didn't know existed.
So, Sneemon launches an attack at Junpei and breaks through a wall, which reveals the spirit. In the
It
dub,
breaks through the generator.
yeah, in the dub, Bokumon mentions that the metal in the way must have been blocking the detector from detecting it. This is not said in the original, but
It's also the dumbest thing ever.
I'm glad they said it, because otherwise I'd be annoyed that every other time we've had all the Digivices go beep, 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 beep when they're near a spirit. This doesn't happen in this episode, so I'm glad the dub actually filled in some silence here.
I'm sorry. Why is I'm gesturing, but let's say 6 inches of metal, because you can see how thick the thing is. Why is 6 inches of metal more signal blocking than it's down like an infinity hole?
Because it doesn't have a big thing in the way.
Or, no, but then it was in a dome,
Look,
and you had to go up a bunch of stairs.
Because otherwise, why wouldn't the detector detect it?
This seems more reaching in the plot than otherwise.
I'm suspending my disbelief.
Here's a better question. What is the detector detecting, right?
Spirit.
Is it little spirit waves?
Yes.
Is it emitting something?
Yes, it's warrior waves. Yeah. Yeah.
I've just got nothing. I got nothing for you.
I'm suspending my disbelief here.
What?
Junpei looks like he's about to cry because he's getting a spirit and looks so happy. In the dub, he wants to all that he wants to taste because Snowmon's talking smack to him. He says all he wants to taste is a cheeseburger with a side of fries.
Great.
Then he becomes Blitzmon, or in the dub, Beetlemon, which I don't know why they changed it.
I do like that he does his dance.
Yeah.
Even when he's a Digimon, everyone else has been acting like a different person. They're like, "Oh, I'm a Digimon now."
Yeah.
He's like, "No, this is awesome. I'm in a suit and I get to do what I want."
Yes, it is very cute, and I like that how he's like jumping around and he's so happy to have his spirit. That's why I like this episode, at least in the original.
It's not worth the score you gave it for that moment, though.
So then he says, "Spirits of evil be purified by my thunder digicode scan."
Isn't it great that he defeated his own bad guy?
Yeah, I'm wondering what Chakamon and Fairymon would have said.
They would have said, "Damn it!
Let my underwear purify you. In the forces of my lingerie,
In the name
I
of the
will
Father,
defeat
the
you."
Son, and the Holy Panties."
Yes.
Oh.
Gee, that was bad. In the dub, he says, "Once you were used for evil, and now you'll be used for good." Like, okay, I guess. Then the Kakumon in the dub says that it was right for them to believe in him. And they didn't in the dub. The Kakumon were crapping on about Takuya the whole time, not Junpei.
That's great.
Then the Minamon fly off, and then we see them reporting to a Digimon with a huge nose. Spoopy.
Oh, it's almost like we immediately see it.
What do you think of this episode as someone who is new to Digimon?
I don't really like it all that much.
I do.
I think... Okay, the thing is, I was having a discussion with a friend of ours last night about suspension of disbelief, and as far as suspension of disbelief goes, generally, you only get, 2 shots at it, and it's, set up and payoff. Mm-hmm. Or set up and revelation, I guess, as far as, coincidence and things go. But there's just too much stuff here. There's just too many things that don't make any sense, and yeah, you can write off 1 or 2 things as the plot, but when almost the entire, circumstance stops making sense because you've got too many plot elements going at once that were all contrivances.
Yep.
This whole factory doesn't make any sense, because the Kakumon don't need to be here. You have plenty of energy stored up in those batteries, right? Or the Kakumon don't need to be here because they'd beat the crap out of the Goblimon for fun.
Yep.
They don't have to be there. They could just win. Alright, in that case, none of the factory needs to be there. But let's suspend our disbelief on that one. Okay, that's our one shot at suspending our disbelief. Also, in the center of the factory they happen to wander into by accident, without being led there by their detectives. Okay, the legendary spirit was there. Why not?
It's very convenient.
It's all convenience.
The finding of the spirits, and we've seen all of them so far, they have been very, very convenient.
But you can always pretend that, hey, you could have detected them so they were putting themselves in the right position.
Yeah, but they didn't detect in this situation.
Yeah.
I feel like it would have been more sense if they did.
Well, why would they go into the factory in the first place? Why couldn't it have just been the detective taking them there?
Because they wanted food, but I feel like it would have made equal sense, if not more sense, if the only reason they were there was because the detector was buzzing.
Yeah.
They worked that with the Digimentals.
I would have been okay if they got there and then they said the signal's fuzzy, we can't find it.
Yeah, we know it's somewhere in this vicinity.
Good enough.
Yeah, that's fine.
The thing that disgusts me, I think, about Frontier is I think in almost every episode I have been able to propose an incredibly simple solution to fix the episode.
And it wouldn't even take that much difference.
No, it would take one line of voice acting.
Yeah, you could have fixed it in the dub at least. And I think we've mentioned that before, that the dub should try to fix any plot holes they find by just putting in a little bit of extra dialogue.
They're just so lazy, it's absurd.
But they put in extra dialogue that's a
It
joke.
ruins the show.
Yes.
Like, ruins it further, I guess. They're actively bringing detriment to the show when they have every opportunity to make it work just fine.
Yeah. What would you rate this episode?
6 at best.
I gave it an 8.
I don't know why.
I really like this episode. I really like Kakuamon. I really like how they were sympathising with a character who wasn't the main characters. We got a focus that wasn't Takuya and Koji.
The standards are really low.
I don't know. I liked it. I
You're
think
naming all these things, and they're like, those are technically true, but they weren't well done.
I feel like it's still better than the Chuckmon and also the Fairymon episode because he got to defeat his own enemy.
Okay, but I actually think the Chuck One episode was better, because as much as that part sucked, that didn't drag the entire episode down.
No,
The entire
good
episode,
point.
at least, it had an understandable arc, except for at the end when he's like, we were testing you!
Yeah. Look, I'm just trying to like... I like these episodes, but like I'm optimistic, okay?
I don't know why.
Because someone has to be, right?
I mean, if you gotta.
How did this episode compare to what you predicted in Obnoxious Synopsis?
I thought that Junpei would evolve, and he would fight, and then, they would do a multiple evolution, then he'd lose, and Takuya would win for him. I thought it would be the Fairymon and Chuckmon, like, school of losing fights, and that didn't happen.
No, because he's not a little girl, and he's not a little boy. He's the eldest.
And I didn't think it would be a good episode, and it wasn't. I said the exact words 6 at best. That's the most accurate prediction I've ever done.
No, that is pretty accurate
And
then.
it wasn't Philip, because
Except-
he got his evolution.
Except Takuya didn't jump in for him. He did his own fight.
That's the most accurate prediction of, like, a rating I've ever done, because it was the exact words.
Yes. No, that was good then.
I always made it hard for myself when I was like, 7.14.
Yeah, oh my gosh, I'm so glad you're not doing that anymore.
Get ready!
Oh no, please no.
Get ready!
So, what did you think was the major difference between the English and the Japanese version? Because for me, it was the fact that the Kuhumon were warming to Takuya and were inspired with and full of hope and passion and courage because of Takuya. And in the original, they just like Junpei and they sympathise with him because they too aren't very strong and can't fight.
I think mine was that Junpei's reason for not wanting to go into the fight, and it's because he was not confident because he couldn't do anything because he was the only one without a spirit evolution. Whereas in the English, he actively thought everyone hated him.
Yeah.
And so that means his relationship with the rest of the crew is totally undermined, and he has no confidence in himself at all, which is and he thinks badly about them as well.
Yeah.
Which is worse. And we see something very similar in the second episode.
Episode 6 starts with Koji climbing up a mountain, which is perfectly safe for an 11-year-old to do, right?
I mean, he's probably fine. We know he's part ninja.
He hears a voice that's calling for his help, and we see the Karutsuki Numamon and
Are they snail Numamon?
Shell Numamon.
Shell Numamon. So much easier.
But that's not what they call them, except in the subtitles, which was weird, but they're actually just called Karutsuki Numamon.
Oh, because I read in the subtitles and I don't know.
Because it means shell.
Well, that's fine.
Well, we'll call them the Shell Numamon on the basis that it's just easier to say.
I think I called them I think I called them shell female poopmons.
Well, that's what they are. They're shell Numemon. In the dub, they're complaining. Like, the Numemon aren't just calling for help. They are actively complaining and bickering almost between them.
Because it's funny. It doesn't make any sense, but it's funny. Why aren't you laughing?
It's very funny.
Laugh already!
Ha 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 ha. Koji tries to help, but then someone grabs him and pushes him off the cliff.
So he's dead.
He's dead. Rest in peace,
He's
Koji.
dead. Actually, he's Assassin's Creed Leap of Faith thing, but we'll find that out later.
Yeah. The other kids get kicked out of a restaurant by Konguamon, who is Wormmon with the Digi-Egg of Miracles. And it's because they're not having money, and they only have Japanese yen. So it's the old chestnut
How
that we've
come this
seen.
isn't the Eggmon?
Because it's not the same universe.
So, could have been. Just make it a callback.
So this has happened in a lot of... Did this happen in Tamers?
No, because there were no shops in the digital world.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, they were less civilized and more like small villages, I guess. So it's the old chestnut of, we can't eat here because we don't have the right money. But at least they didn't eat first, which is what they have in Adventure, and they have to work off their debt.
We got to see like 100 yen coins and stuff.
Yeah.
And I like Beakmon's like, what are those things? That's worthless.
And Bokumon has a purse, but he also has no money.
Because he forgot to refill it. Implying he has money, he just has it elsewhere.
The kids are hungry, and then they see a sign that says, if you're hungry, you can work for food. So they go in, and some Shell Numemon are there. Then they attach a cart to a train, and the Shell Numemon say the usual, we were living peacefully in our village until bad guys showed up. Which seems to be a plot in a lot of episodes.
It's almost like the writers saw the number of episodes they had to write and said, okay, we need 5 plots. We'll just do them 10 times each.
And it reminds me a lot of the Orochimon episode in Tamers,
It's very similar.
where they all lived peacefully until the big overlord came around and captured them and forced them to work for them. And because they're peace, this is mainly for the Kukumon episode.
That's how I felt about the last episode.
Yeah, it's the old sort of, well, we're peaceful and we didn't want to fight, but now we're captured and we can't do anything.
So can you fight for us? I mean,
Yeah.
we suck.
Yeah, but we don't want to do anything because we're pacifists. So, yeah, they find out that a Digimon called Grottomon wants to know where the mountain's digicode is. In the dub, they changed Grottomon's name to Grumblemon.
I'm confused. I thought digicode was the entire mountain.
Each part has a different digicode and it's
Isn't
hidden.
the mountain itself the digicode?
No, it's like, it's at a certain point. I don't know. It's logic. It doesn't make sense.
Up until now, it has been implied that the digicode is the entire thing, right?
And they just have to touch it to eat it.
Because when they unload the digicode, it all spreads out into the object. However, now it is implied, and we find out later.
I think you have to find the point where it originates, but it does. Once you eat it, it covers the whole. It takes up the whole thing. Like when Gigasmon eats it, it takes up the whole mountain.
So how come that bridge has a digicode, but also that continent has a digicode?
Some things have digicode and some.
Does
things
that mean
don't.
there are no things with digicode on the continent, or the things that when you suck the continent out, does all the stuff that has separate digicode fall?
Oh my god, you are overthinking this.
No, I'm not. This system doesn't make any sense. That's
No,
why
it
you have to
doesn't.
think of it in any kind of way. The writers of this are so lazy. They don't care.
Yeah. No, I see what you're complaining about now.
Every writer of this is drinking on the job and they go, what if this doesn't make any sense? Our audience is children, Hoshi. The audience is children. They won't notice.
Yeah, who cares, right? So the Grottomon stole the daughters of the Shell Numemon and then the river digicode, and now he's just looking for the mountain digicode. Then they're about to go through a train roller coaster on their tiny cart. Whoops, I guess. The cart detaches because the plot happens, and then we find out the Shell Numemon's town is on a cliff face because they're slugs. I really like this part.
It's kind of funny.
I really like digital world weirdness. It's something I always like, and this is very digital world weirdness.
It is. Obviously the Shell Numemon are stupid for not working out that the humans couldn't do this.
Yeah.
There are enough land-based Digimon who have never visited them in their entire lives, obviously, that would have problems with this. But that's fine, let's go with it. Next thing that happens is they drop a ladder for the kids.
Yep.
Why do they have ladders?
Yeah, well, they've never really had... I know, okay. I can answer this. So Koji's already there, so maybe in the time
He
that
showed up
Koji was
today.
there... Yes, maybe they built a ladder because they were like, maybe we should get it for Koji. I don't know.
There was another ladder they had up top, which they had just like hanging there beyond the one they were holding to drop down to the kids.
Maybe they have in the past had visitors that aren't Shell Numemon.
Which is why the beds are on the walls.
Or like that, maybe that's how they get their cabbages delivered. It's by non-Shell Numemon.
But maybe they grow them. However, like, okay, so they drop them this ladder and they go up and they're climbing. And Takuya goes up to this window where they're being led to a house.
No. But before that, Junpei says that Izumi should go first, and Izumi gets really upset because she's wearing a skirt. Even though, like, I don't feel like Junpei actually wanted to look up her skirt.
No, she's just paranoid.
Then Izumi calls Junpei a pervert, and her mouth disappears for like 2 seconds, and she hits Junpei. And then we see that Junpei has a mark on his face and a missing tooth, and then he says he didn't mean it that way, and he's like sulking about it. In the dub, this bit's cut, the slap and his mark are removed.
Then the slap happens.
No, but like the post-slap, there's like a scene,
there's a
and all of a
zoom in
sudden
between the ladder rungs of his face with a big red mark on it, and that's just gone.
In the original, yeah.
Which is my screenshot of the week, actually.
Yeah, well, we'll get to that when we get
Before I
to
even knew it was cut out.
Yeah. Takuya is excited for food and he jumps through a window, but Tomoki sees a figure and tells him to wait, but Takuya doesn't, and he's hit by a stick. In the dub, Takuya being hit is removed, and he's just surprised to see Koji there. But they edited in quite a way that you don't even notice that something's been removed.
Yeah, like they do it. They edit it fine, but at the same time, they shouldn't get rid of it. That's an interesting bit. And the problem, especially, is that now they have to replace this conflict with something worse.
Yeah.
So initially it was like, oh, what are you doing here? Explain. Okay, well, I guess I don't need you guys around because Blue Man Group doesn't care about them. Whatever. On the other, in the English though, Blue Man Group is like, oh, it's you guys. You're here to cramp my style.
Yeah.
Ugh, I'm gonna dance like Team Skull now.
So in the original, Koji explains that he wanted to test the other children to make sure they were good enough to help.
That's dumb. What is he, a candle?
Yes, he's a Candlemon now. Yeah, and as you said, in the dub, Koji's upset because the others just get in the way, and then he tells the Shell Neumon that they won't be able to help.
Have you noticed something really weird about Frontier thus far?
Why?
Every episode is centered around a village of objects.
Yes.
There's the Taser Village. There's the Flower Village. This is the Snail Village. There's the Candle Village.
What about in the Baby Village and the Floramon Village?
No, well, the Floramon is the Flower Village.
It's because I missed that. So
there's just so many of these villages of things.
I like it because it's exploring a digital world that's not just desert. In Tamers, the digital world was desert. It was boring.
Sure, but like at least the individual areas were really interesting. But like, show us the most interesting thing we've seen in this entire digital world is this town they started in this episode, and we don't get to see any of it.
Yeah, the fire terminal, I believe it was called.
Just show me the different Digimon talking to each other. No, they got you out of there as soon as possible so they wouldn't have to try.
The Shell Neumon in the next scene give them some food, and everyone's very happy until they realise they're being fed cabbage. Everyone complains, but Izumi says it doesn't matter if they like it or not because they have to eat. She takes a bite and says it's delicious because it tastes like pizza. In the dub, it tastes like steak. So
why change that?
I have no idea. Pizza's fine.
Pizza is a more interesting thing for it to taste like.
Also, she's Italian.
Yeah.
So it's linked.
But it's more interesting for it to taste like pizza because steak is an individual food element. It's a bit of beef. Whereas a pizza is bread, it's sauce, it's all this other stuff. That makes the cabbage a lot more interesting because it's a lot more complex.
But a lot of the changes are weird. Like Junpei has curry, and in the dub he's got chicken. In the original, Tomoki has beef. In the dub, Tommy has potato. In the original, Takuya has buttered potatoes, and in the dub, Takuya likes asparagus. Then there's a bit of some silence that was filled, where everyone else goes, oh! And Takuya says, but I like asparagus.
It's so, like, asparagus, but I like asparagus. It's such a strange line. It's pointless.
Also, a bit that upset me was the fact that Neumon and Bokumon don't seem to know what the cabbages are, and I feel like Bokumon would at least know because he has the Book of Everything.
Yeah. Is that the name of it?
What?
Is it called the Book of Everything?
No, I just call it the Book of Everything.
Is it just a book with everything in it?
Yes.
Fair enough.
It's just
It's a very
really
robust
annoying.
index.
It's just really annoying that they don't recognise what they are. They're sitting there and they
basically, because from this point on in the episode, I don't think they even, like, half the time they're not around, and the other half of the time they don't do anything or say anything.
Yeah. And I just feel like that's a bit annoying. Maybe it's because they're from a different region, but they could have explained
it's in the book,
that.
Though.
It would have been in the book, I'm sure.
My favourite thing in all of Frontier, all of it, is every time Pokemon pulls something out of his belt.
Yes.
He pops it open and rummages around inside and pops out the exact thing he's looking for.
That's Brian Beacock, by the way.
I don't know what that is.
Takado and also Monokuma.
I don't care about that.
Oh, you make me so sad.
I don't care about voice actors, May. I just don't.
Koji shows the others where he saw the captive Digimon, and again, like there's this like strategizing, which I'm really liking. Frontier has the kids strategize with maps. The only time we ever saw another kid draw a map, it was Taichi, and everyone laughed him for it in Season 1. Junpei says that they can do it because they're the legendary warriors. And the Shell Numon get scared and start talking, and then frantically say, oh, you should rest, we can do it in the morning. In the dub, also during this scene, Bokumon says he has a hard time believing the kids are the legendary warriors as well. And for some reason, I think the Shell Numon are British, I think, or meant to be.
Yeah, they're meant to be British. Although one of them sounds Australian.
Yeah, or Australian.
They're primarily British, though.
It's like when you try to do an Australian accent or a British accent, and they, for some reason, they get confused between the two accents, and they're very distinct. Also, I noticed the digital world has 3 moons.
Cool.
I don't know why I found that interesting. I just like the weird digital world weirdness.
So what's weird here is obviously the snails think that, you know, they're legendary warriors, they must be in cahoots with the other legendary warrior.
Yeah.
Problem with that, legendary warrior is not a faction. It's not a group of, legendary warrior isn't the Romans, right?
Well, they don't know that.
No. Like, if you're a soldier, right, that doesn't make you on the same side as every soldier that exists.
Yeah.
Legendary warrior is not an alignment.
Yes, correct.
That is a description of a job.
But I think
they're just really stupid.
I just think they associate that they're working together because they're the legendary warriors, and the legendary warriors would work together.
But they wouldn't.
But they wouldn't know that. I feel
No,
like it's
they're really dumb.
I feel like it's understandable.
No, they're dumb, and the writers don't want you to think about it.
So when the kids go to sleep, Takuya rolls over and asks Koji if he's a good guy because he wants to save the Shell Numon daughters. And Koji says because he's saving them because the Shell Numon saved him, and then says that Takuya doesn't have a reason to save them.
Oh, it's and in the English, it's all of their women, I should mention.
Oh, well, good, because I have a bit where I'm a bit confused about where are the wives.
Yeah, in the English, they specify earlier on, when, I think it's when they're on the minecart bit, they go, they took all of our women. I'm like, oh, that's interesting, it was just the daughters before.
Yeah, in the original, it's just the daughters, which is confusing. Like, do they reproduce asexually, or do they reproduce with the sisters? Or, because we don't know where the women are, like the mothers.
Where are the women at?
Where are the women? The mothers.
Where are the green women at?
So maybe they reproduce asexually because...
Could be.
I don't know, they're slugs, I guess. Or maybe they can change, I don't know. And, yeah, so in the dub, Koji says that he's doing this because they saved him, but he won't be helping Takuya in the same way. And then Takuya says he doesn't want his help. So Koji's a little, like, standoffish and kind of rude instead of just...
Oh, incredibly.
Instead of just stating, like, oh, I'm doing this because they saved me, but you don't really have a reason to. Which is, like, that's true. The Shell Numon wake up the children, and the children now hang off a cliff because surprise.
Have we talked about how he got to the village by falling off the cave into the big thing of hay?
Yes.
Have we talked about how it's weird that they have hay?
Yes. No, we haven't, but yes, it is weird.
How do they grow hay? They're on the side of a cliff.
The plot, mainly.
Damn it.
We're going back to it was in the script.
It's every episode, like 4 or 5 times.
Which we didn't really have to go that much in Tamers. It was more like
No.
we were like scratching to find some small holes in the ground.
What we would say is, this doesn't make much sense. Wait, what about this? Oh, okay, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, like if we really think about it, we can make it make sense. Some things in Frontier are just like, oh no, it was just there because it made sense in the plot.
Frontier really feels like, to me, what's our beginning and what's our end? Okay, this is what they are. Fill in whatever you feel like in the middle. It doesn't matter as long as you get there.
Yes. So the Shell Numon say that their children saw their daughters because they're the legendary warriors, and that they must be with Grottomon. And because plot convenience, Grottomon promptly bursts through the wall. And something I noticed in the original is that he says Ore-sama. So Ore's is I, basically.
So
but he's calling himself Sama. He's saying Ore-sama, which is basically, he's referring to himself basically as like a lord or someone in very high power, which is very arrogant to do.
Well, I noticed that he sounds pretty normal in Japanese. In his English voice, he's like, I'm a Misa Goblin!
Yeah, he's Impmon with bad grammar.
He's Jar Jar Binks.
Yeah, he's like, if Impmon, I don't know, just wasn't as intelligent as Impmon is.
Misa, fight you for your women's!
He has the same voice, just saying, as Impmon. So, yeah, they made him unable to talk properly, and I don't know why. I guess they're trying to make him like
he's a goblin!
Like an unintelligent goblin, but I feel like I prefer the arrogance in the original. Like, oh yes, Ore-sama.
Yeah, it's way more interesting.
I know that's like a bit harder to do in English, but he can still say, I, Lord Grottamon.
Yeah, it's easy.
Yeah.
It's actually totally easy to do in English.
Yeah. But no, instead they made him unable to speak.
Great. Awesome.
And I'm not sure about his grammar in the Japanese version because I don't understand that much Japanese. I understood Ore-sama and I was pretty proud of myself. So we then see the Shell Numemon have little scythes and they want to cut the rope. I really like their little scythes. I think that's really cute. I know they're going to kill the kids, but I think it's really cute.
They don't have arms though. What were they holding them with?
No, they have little gummies. They have little gummy arms.
Right. They had gums.
Because they're like little slugs. So, Grottamon didn't know the kids have the spirits and now he wants them. And then he gets out a huge hammer. Then Shell Numemon are surprised that these aren't Grottamon's allies.
And they go, wait, you're not working with him? And Tommy's like, that's what we told you!
Yeah, and Tommy's handling this pretty well, to be fair.
I mean, he's screaming, but sure.
Yeah. Compared to how, he almost died in the first episode. So, Koji is part ninja, and he jumps forward, and one of the drop sides cuts his ropes. I don't know how he did this, but it looks good.
Okay, no. What makes even less sense? Fine, it's spinning out of the way, and he jumps forward, and it cuts the rope. Alright, great. Then he evolves, and then...
Nope, a bit before that, I want to point in where they edit in the clip in the English version, which, when in the episode 2 where he evolves for the first time and he's falling down a hole, they edit that part in for him and him screaming, "Spirit!" as he's falling.
Sure.
Because otherwise, in the original, it's just him cutting the rope and then he's able to evolve. So they add in a bit that makes more sense, I guess. I don't know.
So I want to clarify again. He jumps off a cliff wall, right? Away from it.
Yes.
So the rope stretches out and gets cut by this falling scythe. Somehow. Let's just imagine that happened. Okay. He turns around. He spirit evolves. He's still falling. Now he's falling upwards now he's falling, back towards the cliff. So, can the Wolfmon fly?
If they want to.
With what?
Well,
Does it have a jetpack?
Well, we previously saw him when he was going down the plot hole in episode 2, that the plot hole was no longer there. So I feel like that he can fly slightly, but only when the plot is conveniently allowing him to.
That's not called flying. That's just a plot hole.
He's believing he can fly. Look, if there's a plot hole, does it really mean you can fall into it if you know it's there?
Yes. Uh-huh.
I don't know.
The answer is yes.
I'm really enjoying how Koichi's like this, the character who knows martial arts.
He's Sasuke.
Yes, he's Sasuke.
He's just Sasuke. It's like he's the best black-haired ninja who doesn't like the main character because he likes fun too much.
So the Shell Numemon help up the other kids and say sorry, and the other kids evolve too. And I really like how they're already jumping in to do the split screen evolution, because it at least means we didn't want to lose any time filling time with animation.
Somewhat.
Which is, at least that's something, right?
No, but they didn't though. They did split screen evolution kinda.
And then they did short clips.
And then they did
then
they did the reveal part.
Yes.
Which is full. So they did half of each person's animation in full.
It's better than the whole thing, though.
True.
But they made it a bit faster.
Your socks are upside down.
I know.
It's amazing.
So, yeah, I like it. In the dub, Blitzmon says that he could really hurt someone with that hammer.
I guess.
It's that sort of stupid line that I love.
You're running with scissors.
That's dangerous.
Dangerous.
And Chakamon's being so cute. And I really love Chakamon. He's so happy. Everyone else is very serious, but Tomoki and Chakamon are always very, they see it as a game. It's so cute. Fairymon offers her hand to Wolfmon, and he doesn't want to help, but Fairymon then says, "There's no time for that."
And he's all grumpy.
Yeah, he's so grumpy. In the dub, she says, "Now quit the macho act." And I really like how Izumi is quite kind. And she's sort of, diplomatic compared to the other characters, and she's better at talking. So I'm just hopefully she does that more.
You sure are reaching on behalf of this very two-dimensional character.
I just want her to have some character traits that aren't, I'm a girl, and
no,
I'm Italian.
she's Italian! Oh, you got there.
Grottamon jumps out, and Agunimon jumps to him, and Wolfmon is about to shoot, but can't with him in the way. And Agunimon gets hit by Grottamon's hammer. Then they find the girl Shell Numemon because they have eyelashes. That's how we know they're girls.
Well, so they're in cages.
Yeah.
Where they said they'd be found.
Yes. Then Grottamon gets hit by a landslide that Beetlemon does. And in the dub...
You missed how when Agnemon is fighting...
Agunimon?
Grottomon.
It's Agunimon, though.
It's Agnemon.
No, it's not.
Fine, it's Agunimon.
Yes, thank you.
When he's fighting Grottomon, Lobomon is still trying to shoot him, and he's not getting a clear shot. And while that's happening, Grottomon just starts smashing Agunimon with the hammer over and over and over again.
Yep.
And that part is removed in English.
Yeah, he's playing Whack-A-Mole.
Yeah,
Whack-A-Mon.
Whack-A-Gunimon.
Whack-A-Mon.
Wagamon.
Wagamon.
Wagumon.
Yeah, Whack-A-Mon. Anyway, so the dub makes Beetlemon explain his entire plan while he's doing it, instead of just doing it, and it's so annoying.
It also, is not the plan you think it would be.
It's like, I'm going to do this and move like this. Hey, Grottomon. Like, oh my gosh.
No, but it's raining, right?
Mm-hmm.
So everything's got water on it.
I feel like
he brings him out of the wall, so he's in contact with the main plane of it, and he electrocutes it. Wouldn't he electrocute Grottomon, and that would just be the fight? But instead, he causes a landslide. Mm-hmm. Okay, sure.
I feel like it was also not so much on purpose, that whole thing. In the original, it just seemed more like, oh, it just happened? Because Blitzmon was just flying there?
I felt like it was what he was trying to do, because he did this big punchy thing.
Yeah. So, it turns out Grottomon finds the Digicode in the mountain, and it's basically thanks to Blitzmon. So, well done, Blitzmon.
Blitzmon ruined everything.
You're a better bad guy than Grottomon now. Then Grottomon slide evolves to his Beast Spirit.
Or Beast Spirit evolves.
Yeah, in the dub, it's Beast Spirit Evolution.
Spoilers!
And that's why I'm calling it Beast Spirit, because we know it's Beast Spirit, because he says it in the dub.
It's not an A Spirit, it's just a B Spirit.
Yes. So his name is Gigasmon, and then he promptly beats the other children off the mountain.
Great!
Chuckamon saves them because he makes a wall icicle. In the dub, he yells out, "Hold on to me," instead of just doing it.
And then he has his move name, apparently, too.
Hold on to me, that's the best move name. Gigasmon slides back to Grottomon to gloat, and then in the dub, he says, "Execute Slide Evolution!" And then he slide evolves to taunt them, and says that Cherubimon told him to take the Digicode, so he eats it. And he says Fractal Code digitize. Now, I read something online that it's not in the version that I had. Maybe I had a fixed version of this. Maybe in the original run. But one of the times that he says Beast Spirit Evolution or Slide Evolution in the dub, he says Ancient Spirit Evolution.
Awesome.
But it was not in the version that I had.
No, it wasn't the one I had.
But it is in a version, apparently, of the English dub.
If anyone can find us a video of that, that'd be great.
Yep. So apparently he uses something called Ancient Spirit Evolution.
Sweet.
So, whatever. I guess. They fixed it, obviously. But they still revealed that it's called the Beast Spirit. Then the children fall down a hole as the Digicode is eaten, but it's probably just another plot hole. Yay. What do you think of this episode as someone who was new to Digimon?
Sucked.
Oh, it wasn't that bad.
Sucked.
Are you
Hated
sure?
watching it. I wanted it to be over, and now it is over, and I'm happier.
Do you have any other thoughts? Because I thought this episode was fine.
No, it sucked. That's it. It's just a pain. It's a pain to slog through. And I get to the end of it and I say, am I interested in this set of bad guys? Oh, I mean, if it showed me what they were, I'd be fine with that. I don't really care though. Because whatever, they're taking the bits of the mountain for no reason, no discernible reason, besides to make the mountain go away, to make you as a viewer care because it's hurting people, but it doesn't do anything. Has anyone ever said that the thing makes them actually stronger?
It kind of destroys the world.
Great. Awesome. What does that accomplish? Nothing.
The world is destroyed. Cherubimon wants to destroy the world, and the way to destroy the world is to take the Digicode.
I'm so glad. You know what? There's a reason that, bad guys in comic books and other things no longer have the motivation, i.e., I want to destroy the world, that's it, or I want to conquer the world, that's it. There's always a reason, there's always stuff going on. Destroy the world is the worst one ever, because you go, why do you want to do that? And their answer is always,
Yeah, no, that's a point. What would you rate this episode?
Bad. Bad out of 10.
A number?
5.
Really? I gave it a 7.
Bad.
I liked it. Shut up. But
no.
We both gave it a point less than the first episode for this week.
Sure.
How did it compare to what you thought in Obnoxious Synopsis?
Let's be real. I thought that the another warrior would be like a kid and they would join them. But now I think they're 5 antagonists. Well, I don't know.
Do you think they're humans?
Wait, you said they were.
No, do you think they're humans underneath?
Oh no, you said they were humanoid.
They're human spirits.
I do not believe that Scrotumon is a human underneath.
Right.
It's not the design they would give to a human. Because the evolutions that all of the other kids have had have been this weird, like, armor stuff. Mm-hmm. And I don't imagine
Except for Chacomon.
More or less, but he has, like, a rocket launcher. There's modern stuff attached to it. Yeah, it doesn't seem like the sort of thing they'd give is this big fleshy man thing.
No, I see your point.
I think their other 5 legendary warriors will be, like, Beast. They'll be like the Beast legendary warriors, but they have to start as Digimon.
Right.
And they just evolve into their thing.
So on to your predictions for last, what you thought
I
about
was
the
wrong.
episodes?
I said I was wrong.
Oh, right. Oh, you mean overall?
Yeah.
If Junpei talks to Zoe at all, and Tomoki cries, so neither of that happened.
To be fair,
Oh, no,
Junpei
did
spoke to her once, and it was fine.
But
And then her reaction was
her
annoying.
reaction was bad, yeah. What was the major difference between the Japanese and the English version?
All the stuff they took out. They took out all, like, the big bits of violence, I guess.
Yeah.
Which was... Or, no, it's how Koji was, like, actively hostile to them the entire time.
Yeah, but that's in general. Like, him as a character is actively more hostile.
No, there's a difference between indifference, oh, you guys, and, oh, it's you!
Yeah, no, that's what I said. Like, in general, like, in all the episodes, he's been more aggressive.
I don't know, I feel like this one was really, really obvious, especially because they took out hitting them in the head.
See, I noticed that the weird addition that they again did from the last episode, which is they added the first evolution to this episode. It was just weird for me. So now that we've seen all the evolutions of the kids, who has the best spirit evolution?
I don't know what defines the best.
Like, just the episode that you enjoyed the most, the activation, the general look. I don't know. What do you think? Who do you like?
I'm honestly trying to think of one that stands out, and they're all really boring. Okay, so what does Takuya have? It's just there in that fire over there. It's just that you happen to be standing around. Okay, what does Koji have? It's down that hole you fell down by accident. What does Tomoki have? It's in a cave that you backed into by accident.
I like Tomoki's.
It's what's Zoe's?
Who cares?
It's the spirit flew out of the tree that you were in the whole time, but you didn't go get it. It was just in there, and it showed up when you needed it for no reason. And what was Junpei's? Oh, it was in that generator he was standing next to. I think the problem is that, like, I didn't feel like any of them were even vaguely earned at all.
It was very convenient. Like, there wasn't any activation. Like, oh, I truly see the point now.
Like, I didn't really like that Joe's was... I remember when Joe found, like, his crest or whatever, he found it, like, by digging down under that goalpost.
Yeah, but they all found their crests like that, to be fair.
But they always had an indication of where they should look, I think.
Oh, yeah, it always glowed, and then, yeah, no, that one was very, like, oh, it's here, okay.
You could always tell, like, there was... Something was gonna... Oh, no, a lot of them were really bad. A lot, like Mimi's coming out of that cactus.
Yeah, no, I liked that one, but that was also very sudden.
Like, a lot of them were bad, but I gave those crap when they happened.
Yeah.
Because it's so weird that it went back to, like, original adventure. And, I mean, like, the eggs in 02.
Yep.
Can they not just try and put them somewhere even vaguely... Can they not... You know what? They don't even need to be placed logically. Just stop having it be that, okay, they ended up in just the right place. The kids are looking for them. The detectives show them. You don't need to make it a big coincidence they stumble upon them. The tools are in place for them to search for them. And then build plots around that. It's so lazy.
I see what you mean.
They had this idea, what about a wind factory, and with this tasers and stuff? Oh, well, how are we going to put the plot forward? We'll just stick one of the things in a generator. Who cares?
Yeah.
The thing I really get the feeling of the show is apathy. They don't care. They got 50 episodes to write. Slap them all out right now. I've got alcohol to drink. I don't have time to write this show. The more I write, the more I obsess over plot and about making things make sense and making them, like, intuitive. Then to read a reason, they go, oh, I get it. I understand that. The more when this happens in a show, I just go, how did the writer go to bed that night and think, I did a good job today?
See, at least I'm enjoying the overall digital world. Like, I think that's pretty cool.
Sure, but that doesn't make the show enjoyable to watch. That doesn't make you go, I want to watch the next episode of this. That makes you go, huh, that was interesting. Never turning this on again.
And that's sad. Do you have any predictions about Grodemon?
No. And the problem is I don't care. At least when the Dark Master showed up, I was like, well, that's interesting. With this guy shows up, I do not care.
What about Gigasmon?
It's the same guy.
My screenshot of the week was Izumi's lack of mouth.
I mentioned already, my thing is 5 seconds after that, and it's Junpei's big slap face.
The Digimon introduced in this episode, there are quite a few. We have the Wormmon Digi-Egg of Miracles one.
I do not know what it looks like.
It's like a beetle. It's a golden
I
beetle.
don't even know.
What about Kukuamon, who we have seen before in the first Tamers movie?
I mean, we've seen it before, so
yeah.
I'm just saying, we already know. It's
Golbimon? Have we seen Golbimon before?
Yes.
They're just small.
It was in the stream we played today.
Yeah, well, yes. It was in Next Order.
And I saw a bunch of them in Cyber Sleuth, so I was fairly familiar with them as well.
And that's why I guess you were pretty upset about the toy Agumon, because you have one in Cyber Sleuth, don't you?
Yeah. No, I was upset because it wasn't Lotmon and Terramon, which is what I wanted.
Yeah. Well,
because
we should have looked at the guide and worked out how to get Terriermon and Lotmon.
That.
What about Blitzmon?
So, Blitzmon actually looks quite cool. Honestly, he's just an armor version of Kabuterimon, I guess.
Yeah, no, I can see that. With, like...
Because they're the same kind of beetle.
More humanoid.
And then, what I like more about him is that he doesn't act like a Digimon, he acts like Junpei in a suit. And I think that's funny.
What about the Shell Numamon?
I don't like them. Because I hate Numamon, and I think that it sucks that they try to... I don't like, necessarily, the thing that Digimon does, which is, it's the Digimon you already know, but with a modifier.
Yeah, it's a slightly different one.
What if there was a new generation of Pokemon, and the very first Pokemon that was there was Yellow Bulbasaur? It's not shiny, it's just called Yellow Bulbasaur.
Yeah, it is
It's a new Pokemon!
I like when they're sort of, when they look different, when they have a different something with them. Like, Toy Agumon is just Agumon made out of Lego, but at least it looks different. It's not a different colour Agumon.
This is Eye Patch Charmander. He has an eye patch, but he's a different Pokemon.
No, I'm just saying Toy Agumon's
He
better.
evolves into something else, into Pirate Charmeleon.
Shut up.
Into Captain Charizard. That's success in the industry right there.
What about Grodomon or Gigasmon? Do you like them?
I mean,
I like Gigasmon. It's
they're
pretty
fine.
Cool. I like their designs, both of them.
They're
really.
just fine, right? They give me the sensation, the way they switch between each other, and they're kind of generally the same shape, that they couldn't decide which bad guy design to go with, so they just picked both.
Yeah, why not? They basically said, "Oh, I don't care. It's getting late. Let's just choose both of them,
Exactly.
right?" Yep, all right. For Postmon Pat this week, first off, we have a comment on our YouTube channel, and it's from Lupin X, and it's kind of like a review style. So, Lupin X has given us 5 stars and said, "This is the best Digimon podcast out there by far. If you can stand Jay's frequent and prolonged anti-Semitic tangents..."
Okay, no, we have to stop. I'm
Yeah.
not going to be cool with being called anti-Semitic. That's really odd. I'm Jewish. I'm very proud of my heritage. I went to Jewish schools, and I go to shul occasionally.
Yeah.
I don't understand where that came from.
I think you've, mentioned Jewish things, but, I wouldn't say that they were anti-Semitic rants.
Okay, they described it as frequent and prolonged. I'm concerned that anti-Semitic was maybe an accidental misuse of a word.
Maybe, but, that's definitely that word that... I copied it directly from the thing, and that's definitely the word they
I'm
used.
thinking antagonistic. I'm thinking...
But, okay, maybe anti-Semitic wasn't the word that they were looking for
I need
then.
to know. I would love to know what that meant or what that was referring to, because I cannot think of an instance where I would have been that way and I am not that way.
No, you're fine. And also, yeah, you're Jewish and very proud.
It's a 5-star review that opens with, if you can get... Okay, if this was like a Rooster Teeth podcast, right?
Yeah.
And, for example, and I'm not calling anyone racist, because they're not, but if it said, "I love this podcast. I don't like when Gus is a horrible racist most of the time, but I like this podcast." What does that mean?
What? Oh, no, it's like saying, "Why does Gus hate Mexicans?" I'm like, he's Mexican, by the way.
He wants to build a wall? It's confusing.
Yeah. No, I think he wants to build a wall to keep the Americans out.
No, but I take significant issue with that point.
You could be right. It could just be a typo, or that they used the wrong word.
It's a really dark
inconvenient
word.
It's a really inconvenient word.
You can continue with the comment, but I would really like this clarified, because otherwise I find that incredibly concerning.
So, if anyone has taken issue with anything that could be anti-Semitic that Jay would say, if he ever speaks about being Jewish people, he's speaking as a Jewish person.
Is it that I called it No Eat Day? Yom Kippur is No Eat Day.
Noam calls it that. Our Noam, not our Patreon supporter Noam. We have an Israeli friend in Australia called Noam.
Is that what I've said? I don't feel like
You called it No Eat Day.
I don't feel like my heritage comes up that often on this show.
I think we've mentioned it a few times how you celebrate Christmas because of me, but that's like...
That's not related. I just find myself very confused and distressed by this.
Yeah, no, like, I can understand that.
I don't know. If I went in tomorrow to work, I'm not going to work, it's Saturday, but if the next time I went to work, there was like a card on my desk that said, "Keep up the good work, you huge misogynist."
Yes.
I'd be like, something's up here. So it's a compliment in the beginning, but there's something in the middle that...
Yeah. Like, I think that maybe they weren't looking for the word anti-Semitic, but that's the word that's definitely there. And it's like, what? I'm confused. Anyway, I'll continue with the message. So the discussion of the episode is always great, and the host perspectives makes for excellent and entertaining contrast. I would recommend the show to any Digimon fan who isn't a devout Jew, okay? Apparently that's what they did mean anti-Semitic.
Oh, what? My hate-filled rants. What show is this about?
Have you often mentioned? I'm very confused.
I don't know either. If anyone can point me to what this might even be referring to? Frequent and prolonged. That means most episodes. We do.
I feel like you've mentioned being Jewish, but that's about it.
Do you edit the show in such a manner to just take words that I say and to put them in different orders?
Yeah, clearly I make it you sound like an anti-Semitic person, obviously.
I can't... I'm
really confused too.
Why is this 5 stars? I wouldn't rate something 5 stars if it was full of racism.
They say, or if you don't think you can stomach Jay's hate-filled rants.
What? No, that would make sense, because maybe I don't like Digimon so much.
No, that's fine. The start of Frontier is a great point for jumping into the show, that's a good thing. I'm very confused.
I don't get it, and I feel really uncomfortable.
Like, yeah, Jay is...
Look, I'm willing to take criticism for anything that I have said, but I don't know what that might be referring to.
No, I don't either.
So I guess Lupin X, if you could please, just mention it, and I'd be happy to open a discussion about it.
Yeah, no, I'd be curious to know as well, because like I'm not Jewish, and I'm worried. Have I said something that's anti-Semitic?
I don't think so. Frequent and prolonged, hate-filled. 5 stars. Don't listen if you're Jewish.
Yep.
I've rarely been as confused in my entire life.
See, I'm just going to grab that part that says don't listen if you're Jewish, and that's just going to be everything you say during the show today.
Oh, okay.
That was a joke. But no, we are both puzzled and confused. So if you could please tell us what Jay said that gave you off this impression, because, yeah, as we said, Jay is a very proud, happy Jewish
Apparently
person.
It can't be hard to find. It's frequent and prolonged. Alright, let's move on.
Alright, on to With the Will. Wildwing64 says that it's weird that Chuckmon and Fairymon's episode were basically having them both be useless, and they had their time in the limelight stolen by one of the 2 leads. It could be justified by them not being the strongest of the team, and perhaps they get better over time, but Takuya and Koji were instantly able to overpower their enemies, so why couldn't Chuckmon and Fairymon? Wildwing64 then says, Tomoki has a very sudden character development. He goes from crying and wanting to go home and basically being almost suicidal, and then in episode 3 he's changed his tune completely.
He's actually already changing in episode 2, when he's like talking to Junpei. He's like, I don't really want to leave necessarily, because Takuya is so cool.
I feel like he's realised that he wants to be a hero, and he doesn't want to be sad and be useless, and he's trying to be braver than he is.
But also you're right, it's really sudden.
No, but he still has weakness. He still cries. He's not, like, immediately grown up. He still has his problems. I feel like he's trying to mirror Takuya.
No, but like it's not subtle, I think is the thing. It's not like Ruki who softened over time. Imagine if Ruki episode 1 doesn't like Takato at all. Episode 2 is like, okay, we're friends, and episode 3 is like, oh, okay, smiling, yeah, we're good now. And that happened over the course of very, very few episodes rather than 25, 30.
Yeah. The next message on With the Will is Lotus Rose, and they say, listen to the most recent podcast, it seems that the inferiority of certain characters was more overt than they remember, even early in the series. Lotus Rose says they're patiently looking forward to Savers. Me too.
I'm impatiently looking forward to not watching Frontier.
And then says that the Frontier English dub was the worst for changing names for no reason. Do any of the main Digimon keep their original names? And no, they don't. They all have, except for Agunimon, I guess. Agunimon. Do not Agnimon around.
It's in my subtitles. That's what I read.
Yeah, it's because that's what it's named after. But in Japanese, the pronunciation is Agunimon.
Oh, well, it's just telling you.
Yeah. The next message is from Chuckmon, and Chuckmon says, it's sad how Junpei is doubtful about Spirit Evolution compared to how excited Tomoki is about it. And I like how each character has a different reaction. So while it is sad that Junpei is so doubtful, So I agree with you there. But I do say that it's nice that they're not all having the exact same reaction. They're having different reactions. Like, Junpei's kind of like, oh, what if I don't get one? It's only me. I'm pretty useless. I'm a disappointment. And Tomoki's like, I will definitely get one because I want to be like Takuya Nissan. It's so cute. Chakmon then says, it's sad that Tomoki and Izumi don't get to fight in their battles. Tomoki's wasn't that bad because there was an element of teamwork. But Izumi's fight was just lame. And yeah, I agree with that. Then Chakmon says, are there any evolution charts like what Jay mentioned in the last episode? And I had like a brief look, and people have made up like fan ones that start all from baby ones, but you can basically just find those by Google searching evolution charts. There aren't like any complete ones like Jay mentioned, but I'm pretty sure if you had some dedicated people, they would probably spend many an hour putting that together.
I'm just thinking you could start with one Digimon and you could evolve and de-evolve it all the way through to literally every Digimon that ever existed.
Yes. Out of all the possible evolutions that we've currently seen throughout the card games and the video games, I'm pretty sure you could.
Which means that any baby is any Digimon if you try hard and long enough.
The next post on With the Will is from Jay Ukyo, who says, Koji is shown to be proficient at Kenpo since he has martial arts training, which explains why he's so skilled and once he's evolved. Takuya is athletic and has protagonist powers. So I do like that Koji has, yes, he's got martial arts training, so that makes him more proficient at fighting. And yeah, Takuya just can because he's the protagonist. So that I agree with that.
Because he strategized with his army men once, remember?
Yeah. And I also do like the strategy. I really like that. Jay then says, not this Jay, but that Jay, says that Tomoki's growth occurs after he bonds with Takuya. Tomoki's role in the show seems to be little brother for Takuya. And that's fair. I like their friendship. It's cute. Then Jay says, despite defending these criticisms, Frontier's still the worst. I feel like it's not as bad as 02, but that's just my personal opinion. I guess when we finish it, I'll have a full opinion after analysing it.
It's worse at the moment because 02 had a logical story.
On Tumblr, an Anonymon says that they liked Tomoki being weaker than the others compared to how previously the youngest had the overpowered Digimon. So this time he won't be able to Deus Ex Machina winning against final bosses. And so it'll be a different aspect of the trope, him having just regular powers. For Izumi, they seem to go for a Sailor Moon type of character, which doesn't really fit well with Digimon. And I see what you mean. Then they ask, do you think that Goblymon was behind the Shattering Earth back in episode 4? Wait, Groblymon. Okay, I think it means Grumblemon? Maybe, yes.
When
I don't know.
did that happen?
You know how there was like the broken floor in episode 4?
I honestly think it's a throwaway plot point.
I just think that was maybe the Digicode being gone, but it could have been.
No, it wasn't gone because that Digicode being gone is just an area disappearing, not shattering. It's just a plot point. It is meaningless.
It's a reason for them to turn around, I guess.
Yeah. It's just put them back where they started.
Yeah.
You have to understand, from what I can tell, the writers don't care. Put the characters where they need to be by any means necessary. Get them where they need to go by any means necessary. That's their strategy at this stage. And that's all it's been, right?
Yes. The next message is IRL Yuya, who says, you should bring back Rumble Arena for the live stream, but it's just May fighting Jay in a back alley. No items, V headbutt only. That's cute. I like that.
That's strong.
Then IRL Yuya says, in all seriousness, I love the new intro. I had to stop and listen to it again when I first heard it. And I really appreciate that. It took us time, and also we had to put a lot of passion into it, and Jay even did, and I think it sounds good.
Mostly, I was just laughing at you the whole time.
Yeah, we released a full, like half an hour recording of me trying to get Jay to do it.
It was 10 minutes.
It was like half an hour.
It was 10 minutes, I remember.
Okay. Oh, okay. It felt like
there.
half an hour. IRL Yuya then says, okay, so I don't quite understand. Can May explain the point of super Apple Rising instead of App Fusion? It would help a bunch. Thank you. So I feel like it's just more convenient, and it's because you can't app link further than that, and this is because in the games. So if you can't app link 4 chips, right? But you can app link 2 chips.
Okay.
So if you wanted to app link to Super Appmon, like Dogachmon and Raidramon, you can't just put together their 4 components, right?
But why is the fusion less powerful than just the chip by itself?
No, I'm saying that you can't fuse them together because you can't fuse 4. That's what they're asking, I think.
Perhaps.
Yeah, so that's why. And then IRL Yuya says, would you recommend picking up an Appy drive and some chips when it comes to out in my country? Is it all that good?
No.
The Appy drive's really cute, and you can like level up your level by putting in different chips and then app linking and stuff like that. The Appmon chips are really good if you plan on playing the online web portal game where you can fuse Atmon, and if you win, you get it. Like if you have a certain power, you're entered into a draw to win another chip. And you have to get it sent to a Japanese address, but you can use a middleman service for that if you were to win. I haven't. I'm very sad. And I would... Also, the Atmon chips are very useful if you play the Atmon 3DS game, because you use them and they're very good. But I'm not sure if it's going to have a release outside Japan, especially since we don't know anything about Applimon coming out in any other country legally besides Japan at the moment. But I would recommend it. I think it's very good. It's fun. It makes noises. It's not like a Digivice game, but you sort of get to find out what you can fuse together to make stronger. But so I like it. I'd like to do a video review on it sometime. The next Anonymon says, if the most memorable J moment was the Blackwell Greymon rant, May's will be the Miss Izumi rant. And yes, I'm going to have many Izumi rants in this series. I can feel it. Anonymon then says that they're not too worried because Jay might end up liking Frontier even a little bit.
Good luck!
It has great music and nice ideas, even if sometimes they're not well executed.
An OST does not win me over to a show, ever.
It can help.
It can help, but it will never win. I'm not a big music guy. Like, obviously, I want the music to be good, but I've never liked a show and been like, you know what, that show had a great soundtrack, and that's why I like it.
Yeah.
It'll be like, I don't even play game. If I watch something that I like, I've always liked it for other reasons, and if it happens to have a good soundtrack, that's a plus.
The Anonymon then says, worried because May and Jay don't seem to like fight scenes, and they kind of become important and well choreographed later on.
Hey, if they get better, then they get better.
If they get better and they're like notable and something happens, we will try to note on it. But if I miss something, I'm really sorry. Then our last Anonymon for this week says, hold up, you guys are from Perth too? I thought I was the only bloody Digimon fan here. This is crazy.
Unfortunately, no.
We're not from Perth. We are from Australia. We're from Melbourne, which is quite far away from Perth.
It's quite far.
But
we're on the opposite side of the country, aren't they? Are they north WA?
It's like north that way.
Northwest.
Yeah, northwest. I think.
And west southeast.
Yes.
We're as far away as you can get, except for Tasmania.
It's one of those places where you just like when you fly for 6 hours, you're still flying over Australia. Yeah, Australia's big.
Is it 6 hour flight? I thought it was 3.
Remember when we went to Japan and 6 hours into the flight we were still flying over Australia?
Yeah.
Yeah, that just happens when you live in Melbourne. And so yeah, so sorry, we're not from Perth. We are from Melbourne.
Victoria.
Yeah, Victoria.
Oh no, Perth is the city. Yeah, Melbourne's the answer to that.
Yeah.
Alright everybody, join us for the next episode of Yowamushi Pedal, Next Generation, Island of Misfit Boys.
Or Town Floating in the Sky, Toy Country of Toy Agumon.
And Odd One Out.
Or Save Everyone, Evolve Sunomon. Yeah. For Weekly Wonders this week, I'm recommending an app called Zombies Run. And it is a running app, and it's kind of like... It's meant to be good motivation for running because it's a story and it's about zombies and you have to get like items and stuff to help build your base. And every so often when you're doing that, there'll be like plot, like, oh, you have to grab a child and run back with the child. And you also will have to escape zombies because they want to eat you. And if they catch you, you'll lose the items that you got. And it's very interesting. And each level is about 30 minutes, which that's a decent run. What about you?
I'm going to talk about something that I just recommend to people. I didn't actually do it this week. I lent it to somebody this week.
Right.
I want to talk about Super God.
Oh, I thought you were going to say Warhammer.
No, I was considering that, but that's embarrassing.
You're embarrassing.
Super God's a really great comic book. It's one sort of 6-issue series. You can get it as a trade. It's really great. It's basically, what if the Cold War, instead of being about like nuclear armaments and stuff, in the arms race was instead about like developing your own superhero for the country. And it talks about how like each country developed their different superheroes and like what they end up doing. The British had 3 people in space and they fused together into a giant mushroom man. America has like a Superman kind of guy, but he's a military dude who they keep in a bunker underground in like a holographic farm. The Russians made like a nuclear robot, and like I think it was like the Polish made this purple crystal being that can see all possible futures, and there's all these other things. It's really cool. It's very interesting. Yeah, it's great. Super God.
Sounds good. Alright, so starting next week, part 1 of May's Bad Self-Insert fanfiction reading will be on the outro, after the outro, so after the outro credits.
Oh boy.
Not credits, music, outro music. We will be reading the self-insert fanfic reading. I was going to do it today, but like full disclosure here, it is past midnight. We both had like a big night last night. I didn't have much sleep. I was streaming today. I'm very tired. I would like to go to bed because last Friday I was up until like 3 in the morning getting the podcast to save, and then I woke up at 6:30 to edit it, and I don't want to do that again. So this week I want to go to sleep as soon as possible. So yeah, we're not starting it this week, but we're starting it next week, hopefully. So the link dump will be linked in the description. And you can find our screenshots of the week and our weekly wonders also linked in the description and in our link dump. You can contact us and stay updated. You can email us at lostintranslationmon@gmail.com. Or you can comment on this episode or message us on SoundCloud. You can follow us on @translationmon on Twitter. And you can find us on Lost in Translationmon on Facebook, Tumblr, and YouTube. We have a discussion thread on With the Will and a Reddit thread in the Digimon subreddit, and that will all be linked in the description. We'd really appreciate if you were to review us on iTunes and or Stitcher or wherever you're listening to the podcast.
And thank you to our Patreon supporters, Sam Krieger, who has a podcast with Stevie Patamon called The Moncast, which talks about Pokemon and Digimon. Wu Qinglong, who you can find at twitch.tv/Wu Qinglong.
One more. There's also Stevie Patamon has a YouTube channel, and they're currently playing the new Resident Evil game in VR, and it's too spoopy. So go check out Stevie Patamon.
You mean
on
Resident
YouTube.
E7 Biohazard?
Yes. So sorry, continue. I forgot to write that down.
Metal Mamamon, Joe, Anime Guy, who you can find at Anime Guy Kurosaki and the number 1 on YouTube. Chuckmon, Ishpal Bamba, Hiro Olato, who is at Hiro Olato on Twitter. Jason Morosky, Ryuchi, who is Frost Miragic on Archive of Our Own. Stephen Reeves, who is at WildWing64 on Twitter. Kaida Washi, Mac, Noam, Riku, Red and Garen from Breakfast with Digimon, which is another big Digimon podcast. So no, step back a bit. Noam, happy birthday for today. It's still today.
No, that was like several weeks ago. That was the 9th, I think.
Didn't we say happy birthday on the stream today?
Oh no, that was someone else.
Who was it?
That was someone called Jess Wolf, I think.
That was a different birthday, wasn't it?
Yeah, there was someone had a birthday last week as well. Also, Metal Maimon had a birthday in the early January, but we didn't do the birthday thing, so happy birthday to them as well.
Wow, I really screwed that up.
Yes.
Okay.
So but, hey, happy birthday to everyone who had a birthday this month, by the way.
Okay, bad memory. Let's just
Well,
reel it back.
We're going to start to have like a list of our Patreon supporters' birthdays if they oblige to that, and then we'll wish them happy birthday in the outro.
All right,
but we'll actually take note of it, and Jay won't just blow it
I'm reeling
out.
this back.
Okay.
Kaidawashi, Mac, Noam, Riku, Red and Garen from Breakfast with Digimon, which is another Digimon podcast. Chisai, who you can follow at Chisai236 on Tumblr.
And Chisai drew me an amazing drawing because it was me being excited for next order, so I had a picture of me in my hero cosplay and hugging my Agumon backpack.
You're a giant dork.
And it's so cute.
Undeniable.
And, oh my gosh, thank you so much, Chisai. I saw it when I was streaming and I cried a little bit. It was great. Continue.
Corey, Kyle, and Delady Bugman, whose blog you can read about anime on bagubaragu at .wordpress.com.
You can also make a one-off donation on PayPal, which can be found linked in the description. It's paypal.me/Digimon. Make sure to let us know for the podcast. And yeah, we'll see you guys next time, and hopefully Jay likes Digimon a little bit more.
Bye.
Hopefully. Bye.
僕たちが新しい風を起こそう無邪気なままで